So what you're going to do is pop the TheraBand around a pole. You can use a doorknob if you need to, but we need the anchor point, so where the TheraBand is anchored, to be above your elbows when they're in neutral. That way, when you come back with the elbows, you're pulling down rather than pulling up into those upper traps. So to really activate the muscles at the lower part of the scapula, the shoulder blade, and make sure you bring those shoulder blades back and down as you come in. The elbows scrape the side of your body as you move back, and you want to be nice and strong with your stance so that you're not getting any movement through the trunk. All comes through the arms and shoulders. Keep the head relaxed as you go. You don't let the head jut forward. Squeeze at the end really tight. We're going to maximize the activation of those shoulder blade muscles, and that'll strengthen the upper back. So feet shoulder width apart, grabbing onto the TheraBand wherever you feel like you've got enough resistance. So from this point, you bring the elbows straight down towards the floor. The important thing is that you squeeze your shoulder blades together and down as you come down. Just looking straight ahead, keeping the back nice and neutral. You don't want to arch through the back, and you want to make sure that as your hands come down, actually coming down vertical with your elbows, just above your elbows as you come down. And you want to squeeze the shoulder blades back and down as you go. So it's a really strong exercise. You will feel the muscles in the lower shoulder blades activating, and that's what we want, is a nice squeeze at the bottom and a pause. Slow exercise. We're looking at 3 sets of 12 of these. So you're going to place your feet and your knees hip width apart, knees at 90 degrees, and from there, standing up, you're going to thrust through the hips. So your main focus is to get the hips up and forward as you go. One thing along the way is to imagine as you're standing up, your sitting bones are squeezing together, and then as you're sitting down, your sitting bones are separating. So it's a really nice way to make sure that the glutes are activating, other than the other muscles that can get you standing up. So this one makes the sit to stand really specific with those muscles. As you come forward, make sure that the feet are still shoulder width apart, so you're on that same profile. Put the foot far enough ahead so that when you come down, all of your joints are at right angles, maintaining the knee over the foot and this knee directly in front of the back foot and coming back up. So straight down, just touching the knee on the floor and then coming up, nice and slow, trying to put most of your pressure through that front leg and squeeze the glute as you come up on that front leg in particular. So I'll show you the side shot. So from this point, you're coming down, so all of your joints are at 90 degrees, making sure the knee stays behind the toe. If you come over the toe, you either need to take a bigger step forward or you need to drop the hips back as you come down. There's a couple of variations of the lunge, which are progressions to make it a bit more difficult. So what you can do is start with just a static lunge, which is straight up and down. So that's a good one to test the balance for a start. And then you can progress to a forward lunge, a step lunge. So you can either do one side, do 10 or 12 on one side and then do 10 or 12 on the other side, or you can alternate that, one and then the other. And then the other way to challenge your balance a bit more is to go into a backwards lunge. So again, you can alternate one side to the other, or you can just do a series on one side and then change and do the whole set on the other side as well. Really powering up through the hip as you come through, contract through the glute and squeeze those sitting bones together as you come up. Today we're going to look at a push-up. Seems like a simple exercise, but it's really easy to start developing poor habits and start creating injuries. So we're going to go through some basics. So for a start, hands shoulder width apart, fingers, middle fingers pointing forward. You're going to turn the elbow creases so that they're directly forward as well, and then plant the feet. So the feet go shoulder width apart, comfortable position, back is horizontal, tuck the tailbone under so you're not getting that arch through the back, so it'll really stabilise and support the back. Tailbone under and pubic bone up towards the ribs. Drop down through the chest with the shoulder blades coming together and down, and then as you rotate further through the hands or the elbows to bring the elbow crease forward, you'll stabilise through the shoulders a lot more. And from there, you're going to come down, elbows go directly beside you so they scrape your side almost. trying to keep a horizontal body position or trunk position, coming down and then directly back up again. So making sure your head position, you stay looking directly in front of you rather than up or back down to your knees or your feet. If you find that exercise too difficult, then you can either do the whole exercise on your knees, or a nice little tip is to come down as a full push-up, jump onto your knees, and then come up. Down as a full push-up, then onto your knees, and come up. That's a nice way of working your way to a full push-up if you're not there yet. You find this exercise, this type of push-up is probably a bit harder than the one that you're already doing, so stick with it. The results will come, and you'll definitely protect your shoulders on the way. So enjoy that. Happy training. So first of all, you're going to push the lower back onto the floor, flattening that spot there, and then you're going to bring the back up, the lower back up off the floor so that you've got space under there. Relax into a position between those two where you're comfortable. So this is going to be a neutral position. We're going to maintain this position throughout. If you imagine there's a blueberry underneath your back there, we don't want to squash that down, but we also don't want to come off the blueberry too much so it will roll away. You're going to pop the hands up behind the neck, behind the head, sorry, and the thumbs are going to go just under the base of the skull, just in that soft tissue part. You're going to push back onto the hands with about 5% of your strength. So it's a very light push into that spot, and place the tongue on the roof of your mouth as we go. The feet come a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and the toes splay out to the side. So you're rotating the feet outwards. This is going to help with your psoas, trying to reduce the contraction of that. So from that point, just coming up, squeeze up through the abs, and we're going to take the shoulder blades just off the floor. So this is your starting position. From here, you're going to squeeze the sternum down towards the pubic symphysis, and then coming up just a few centimeters off the floor, and then drop back down just as you feel the bottom of the shoulder blades hit the floor again. So it's a real squeeze. You're really trying to bring the sternum horizontally down to the pubic symphysis rather than lifting up as we would in a traditional ab curl. So it's a squeeze down, and you're just shortening this tissue through here. So if you really imagine that happening, you'll find you'll get more control of that muscle and more contraction of that muscle. Again, as you go, you're trying to maintain that lower back position. That's really important. With your breathing, as you're coming up, you're breathing out, and as you're coming down, you're breathing in. So you're working with the natural opening and closing, expansion and contraction through the abdominals and through the ribs as you breathe. So start by putting the elbows underneath the shoulders, so they're shoulder width apart, the feet comfortably out behind you, and they're going to be hip width apart. And as you come up, you want your shoulders to be in line with your buttocks. So if there's a broomstick from the shoulders down the back, down the spine onto the buttocks, you want that to remain horizontal. Drop down through the trunk, down through the spine between the shoulder blades. Don't allow that to round. And then also through the lower back, you don't want that to sag down. You want to maintain that nice spinal curve through there. If the butt does come up, it's a good cheat, but it's not going to increase the results of the exercise. So you want that to maintain low. Keep the head fairly flat, so your spine, again, those natural spinal curves rather than lifting up or letting the head drop. If you're needing a pre-fit for that, you can come down onto your knees. Again, avoiding that lag through the lower back, maintaining the shoulders in a nice position. And you're going to hold that. The aim is for up to 60 seconds.